gets really pissed off because Jennifer's like, what do I care? Like, that's weird. Like, why are you telling me this? And, and as much as you just kind of want to be like, damn, that's insensitive, you go, well, you know what? Why would you share? That doesn't make sense, And so, so basically Claudia is just like this picked on girl who is now beautiful and feels like she can pick back. But it's like, you know what? Learn your lesson, move on, and just let people be who they are. Like, don't pick fights like that. Like, there's no purpose to pick a fight with someone that like really doesn't care. Like, if the person doesn't care about you at all, don't share. Like, there's no purpose to share your intimate and dark moments with someone, because number one, they'll probably try to use it against you, and number two, they don't care. They just don't. So, okay, so why am I even telling you this story? I don't know. It's just that I thought she's such a baddie person. It's like, I thought she was this really cool chick. I thought, Claudia Jordan's got her shit together. Like, I like how she rolls. And I'm like, no, I don't actually. I'm finding like I don't like her at all. She's pretty foul. So check it out. Next 15. It's really good. So let's talk about some shit that's bothered me. Okay, because like everybody I know, I'm from major cities. It's how I roll. Like, I'm a major city guy. So, I moved here from Chicago. So, I've never been a New York City guy. I've always been the type of guy that would go into New York City but come right back out. Like, I never wanted, well, I can't say never wanted to move there, because at one point I did. I wanted to move there to be close to someone, because my ex lives in New York. But then I had this one friend, the former friend that we were really close up until like 2014, and I was going to move there with her so that way we could, work on designs together, blah, blah, blah. And obviously it didn't work out, which is good. I'm glad I didn't move there because our friendship didn't survive. And I've always looked at New York as this place that I just thought is just over the top and too much for real life. Like, I never understood why people would actually sacrifice so much to live there. I just don't get it. Personally, I don't get it. And so, again, I try not to get into racial issues because it's like, it's too much. It's not worth it, because a talk show, a podcast isn't going to change racism. It's not. It's not going to change homophobia. It's not even worth discussing it, because of the fact that it's like, I wouldn't even say anything that no one else has heard. Like, I think you tackle those issues on a forum like this if you want to change, if you think you can change it and you're going to change the opinion and the feeling of something. But I don't think racism and homophobia is going to change. I think life itself will change and things will gradually change, but no, it doesn't mean it's going to change for the better. Sometimes it just changes and you just go, it changed. So all that to say, this particular topic that I want to talk about today, it is racial, but I'm not going to talk about the racial aspect of it. I'm going to talk about the general purpose of it. And it's something I just heard about. And it's happened for a while now, but I literally just heard about it. It's called manspreading. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but manspreading is simply the way that men sit. For the most part, when we sit down, we sit with our legs open. So in New York City, the best city in the United States, quote unquote, again, we have issues with standard living. Like, just living life in New York is expensive. Just standard living is expensive. And for certain people in New York, standard living is very difficult and it's costly. For some people, New York is standard. It's like fine. It doesn't cost a lot because they're wealthy and they're fine. But for other people that need to take public transportation for a living, it's difficult. And in this particular case, this is wherein some people literally were arrested on the subway for sitting with their legs too wide. So what I'm saying is, and again, let's remove the racial aspect of it, because that exists, and it does exist. But just the thought that life has gotten so petty in one of the most expensive cities in America that now we arrest people because they sit with their legs too wide. And this is true. You can look it up. It's called manspreading. To the point where the subways have put like signs to say no manspreading and let people sit. It says, dude, stop the spread, please. And, you know, let people sit down. At first, I thought, honestly, when I heard about it, I thought, okay, well, maybe it's because at certain points of the season, maybe you could see somebody's genitals or their nuts are hanging out, which I've seen pictures of. I've seen people purposely do that, and I thought that's what it was. But it was basically, no. In a nutshell, it's about people taking up entirely too much room on the train by their legs being open. And so people have been arrested. Now, if you want to, I mean, if you really want to like break this down, like for real, do you know how many people live in New York? Millions. Just millions of people live in New York. And let's just say there's probably a good, I won't say tens of million. I will just say in the high millions of people who actually take public transportation as a way of life. It's how they, to and fro. Now, in those people, gotta do a percentage that are actually men. And so with that, let's just say, okay, so we have men. So now you gotta narrow it down some more, because then you're like, okay, we have the men, but then again, trying not to turn this into a racial issue. Then there's the men that they've been targeting. So now there's yet another thing for men of a particular ethnic background to worry about when they get on transportation, public transportation. It's like there's the thing that I was reading was they were saying that there's like 1.2 million New Yorkers with outstanding warrants in the database. There's like hundreds of thousands of other infractions going on. So why are they choosing yet one more thing to find, and actually fine men doing to take more money? Like most, you guys, okay, here's my point. People who are on public transportation in New York are already poor. We're poor. Most of them. There's some wealthy people who take it, but it's a few. But they don't have money. And the transit card in New York is very expensive. It's not cheap. So they're already struggling. And then you're going to take more money from them because you're going to fine them or arrest them because their legs are too wide. They're open too wide. So what are you going to say? So because you're saying, well, there's not enough room for someone to sit there. So, okay, so when are you going to start saying fat people are taking up too much room, so let's arrest them? That's just a problem. Like, when there's a person who wants to sit, and I've been in this situation, because I always carry stuff, so I always put stuff between my legs because I don't like to put my bags on the floor because of pee and stuff, and homeless people, and they stink. So, I always kind of sit wider because I have my stuff in the middle and in my between my legs. And if someone looks like they want to sit down, I always figure out a way to adjust to let them sit there. And so this is usually never a problem. But see, let's go deeper, because most of you probably who are listening probably don't take public transportation, so you don't even know. You have no clue what this is about. But for the most part, people who have empty seats next to them are people that people don't want to sit next to for lots of reasons. And again, for reasons we won't discuss. Because they just don't feel safe or comfortable sitting next to those people. And that also brings on the fact that they might not be comfortable asking them to close their legs or adjust their seating, situation. But again, this is their problem. It's not the person who's sitting with the wide legs. It's the person who doesn't want to ask. Like, why are the timid always now getting the right of way? It's like, in this world, you have to ask for what you want. It's like it's like you can't just sit there and go, okay, well, I'm going to tell the police because this man won't close his legs so I can sit down. Well, my question is, did you ask him? Did he refuse to do this, or did you just say, well, hey, there's no space for me because he won't close his legs? And chances are that's how it went down. Now, we don't know that. There's no fact sheet about it. So I can't just say this is how it went down. But I'm just saying, I am up until like 2 months ago was a complete public transportation taker. That's all I did, And so I've seen this. I've been a party to it. I've been the guy that sits open. But when there is someone standing up that I think would want to sit down, I'll adjust myself to the point where I can let that person sit. And I would say 8 times out of 10, they still will not sit there. Because they're intimidated by my look and who I am. And that's them. That's their shit. That's not my shit. That's their shit. And I would be completely appalled if a police officer came up to me and was like, sir, you're under arrest because your legs are too wide. I'm so serious. I feel like, okay, I gotta go. Like, really, I have to leave America. Like, I've left America twice already in my life. And it's because of this bullshit. It's just dumb. Living here is the worst. It really is. I have so many times Googled online how to literally live in other countries, like to turn in my citizenship. I've Googled it so many times, it's not even funny. But I'm too old at this point, so it's like I'm here, I'm just going to die here or whatever. But it's reluctant. It's very reluctant that I do this. But you have to understand, how dumb of a country do we live in when there's so much shit going on in the world? There's so much shit going on in the world. It's just horrible what goes on in this world all the time, every single day. And this is a topic. This shouldn't even be a topic. This isn't a concern. It's not a concern, but people are being arrested for sitting too wide. And it has a name. It has a title. It's called manspreading. Come get me, Jesus. Come get me. Because this makes no sense. How does this make sense to anyone? How does this make sense? How does this make sense to anyone that this is an issue? That you call it something. You have a name for it. Manspreading. To me, manspreading sounds awesome. All I can imagine is this hot ass dude completely naked sprawled all across my bed and I can see his hole. I love it. I'm into it. I'm down. I want some manspread. But that's not what this is. Manspreading is a disease in New York where you can get arrested because your legs are open too wide. And therefore, it's not like your junk is out. Your junk isn't even out. It's not like you have on little dolphin shorts and your dick has flopped out and you're offending some, prude across the way from you. No, it's just your legs are too wide and therefore you should be arrested for it or fined and be made to pay a fine. I don't understand how that makes sense to anybody. That shouldn't make sense. Why does that make sense? Women are basically taught to sit, small. Legs crossed so they won't show their cooter, when they have on a skirt. Fine. That's your thing. Men tend to sit wide. I mean, I guess I'm assuming it's because some men have, big dicks and it's not comfortable for them to sit tight. I'm not that guy. I'm just average. So I can